Kendrick Euphoria diss actually explains tons of new info.
Guys, so I'm clearly behind the curve right now. Diss tracks.
I was definitely saying that this shit was dirt when it came out. I wasn't really jacking Euphoria, so I mean,
Are dropping left,
cool, but I wasn't really jacking that shit.
Right, and center. And all I can really do is do these one at a time. What I can say is that I put an enormous amount of effort and time into these videos. And there's a reason why all of my breakdowns are...
See, shout out to him. See, he doing reactions a little bit different than we do it. We do them shits one take. We just want to hear it one time. He's breaking these shits down, so it's not really a reaction. It's really just breaking it down. It ain't really a reaction. It ain't his first reaction, at least.
Different from everyone else's. To try and figure out what it all means, like, I'm not just pulling info from Genius. I'm studying the lyrics for hours and hours and hours. Like, a lot of time goes into this. With all that said, just a week ago, Kendrick Lamar dropped a 6-minute diss record towards Drake. And I really do appreciate anyone that waited for this video, the patience. Like, I know what this moment is. I can't do this twice, so I'm trying to do it right. Alright, so first and foremost, the title, Euphoria. So much to unpack in this, moment is, I can't do this twice, so I'm trying to do it right. Alright, so first and foremost, the title, Euphoria. So much to unpack in this in itself. Now, as you guys know, on Drake's track, Tailor Made, he said that he was expecting a quintuple entendre from Kendrick due to his delay.
You better have a motherfucking quintuple entendre on that shit. Some shit I don't even understand.
And Kendrick did that in the title, and then some. Now, before I break down all the meanings of this title, I want to point out the true hidden meanings first, which everyone has missed, and it is quite literally a large part of the entire premise and setup of this record. Uma Thurman from Kill Bill recently tagged Drake in a post on Instagram, offering him the iconic suit, where she fends off multiple opponents. Now, the objective of her character,
Kendrick, I ain't gonna lie,
is that of revenge. She is quite literally trying to kill Bill. However, there is a scene in the series where Bill claims that she is a liar who is not just in...
This whole right here went over my head. This whole Kill Bill shit. I see with Drake, she tagged Drake in the shit like, you like need this? I saw that shit, but yeah, I had no clue about none of this shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Wait, yo,
capable.
Do you think she knows? Do you think she seen the title and was like,
I don't know, probably not.
Probably not.
This shit went over heads like this. A hoodie right here. That was a hoodie.
This is such a minor detail that you would miss it.
Yeah, and then everybody with the Euphoria shit, you know, Drake had the show, the Euphoria show. So that's what I was really thinking. With the I don't want to say what was on that show. You know if you know. But I don't know, damn. This nigga, that's why Drake asked for quadruple, quintuple, whatever, niggas and all that dumb shit. He gave it to us. Because this shit got 10 different meanings, the name of the title.
Of telling the truth about him, but telling the truth to herself.
Because when it comes to the subject of me, I believe you are truly and utterly incapable of telling the truth, especially to...
Look, if you confused, he explains it right here. Yeah, we about to see it. We about to explain it right here.
Telling the truth to herself.
Because when it comes to the subject of me, I believe you are truly and utterly incapable of telling the truth, especially to me, and least of all, to yourself.
To address his issues with her lies, Bill...
Kendrick said on the shit, don't tell no lies about me, I won't tell the truth about you.
Bill shoots her with a dart containing a serum called the Undisputed Truth, and states that the serum will cause a state of euphoria.
Gotcha! What lies within that dart is an incredibly potent and quite infallible truth serum. I call it the Undisputed Truth, with no druggy after effects, except for a slight wave of euphoria.
And that is quite
You know, Kendrick's whole thing is trying to say Drake's a liar. Mm-hmm. So it's like this is kind of crazy. I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of crazy.
Literally the setup of how Kendrick approaches this record by presenting what he feels to be non-stop, undisputed truths about Drake. It is in this track and the upcoming tracks where you will see Kendrick paints Drake as a liar, as an actor, as someone that lies to himself, and just like Bill in this movie, Kendrick does not believe a word that Drake says. However, in the very first line of this track, Kendrick makes reference to superpowers getting neutralized, which is the exact same thing that Bill talks about in the same scene of this movie.
There's the superhero and there's the alter ego. Batman is actually Bruce Wayne. Spider-Man is actually Peter Parker. When that character wakes up in the morning, he's Peter Parker. He has to put on a costume to become Spider-Man. That characteristic, Superman stands alone. Superman didn't become Superman. Superman was born Superman. When Superman wakes up in the morning, he's Superman. His outfit with the big red S, that's the blanket he was wrapped in as a baby when the Kents found him. Those are his clothes.
Bill describes the alter ego of superheroes who require a costume.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. If this nigga, right. But listen to this though. It's crazy. Because Kendrick have to hit this nigga up. Because what's Kendrick really thinking about all this? Is niggas reaching? Is niggas thinking too much? Like, you feel me? Sometimes niggas be thinking too much into it.
He not gonna come out. Well, he probably will, but he not gonna come out and say he wasn't thinking this.
Right.
To become that character. This is exactly what Kendrick does in most of this record, as he strategically picks Drake's character apart. Bill then goes on to point out that Superman is always Superman. When he wakes up in the morning, he does not have a character, he was born Superman. Now, as we move further into this track, and as Kendrick alludes to Drake being a fraud, Kendrick is saying that when it comes to hip-hop, he is Superman. He was born this person in the culture that Drake impersonates with no need for a costume. So when Kendrick refers to superpowers becoming neutralized, he is essentially saying that in this track and in this war, he is removing the costume from Drake to expose his true identity. And speaking of beef, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Cook Unity. Cook Unity is the first door Unity rated US or don't the price of me video. The art also gives a clear other meaning. Thank you again to Cook Unity for sponsoring this video. Now on to the other meanings behind the title. The track is titled Euphoria and the artwork gives a clear definition of what that means. Secondly, the artwork then also provides an example of the word euphoria being used in an actual sentence where it states, "They had almost a week to recover from the euphoria of Tuesday's series-winning victory, and Kendrick dropped the track on a Tuesday, alluding to how this record is giving him a win, also a reference to his upcoming tracks as well." Furthermore, Drake executive produced the hit show Euphoria, a show depicting the lives of teenagers who find themselves in very adult-like situations.
But like,
you got Drake looking like,
yo,
yeah,
my nigga, you got this nigga got scientists in the motherfucking lab, fucking looking shit up. Looking up everything, breaking shit down. Yeah, let me use that. Yeah, give me that. That's what it seemed like. It's like,
really thought about this though.
probably,
right. He probably
most
did.
likely.
He did.
Most likely, he did.
He said that Tuesday shit, then the nigga dropped that shit on the Tuesday.
Like,
that's crazy.
Therefore, this reference is also clearly with respect to the ongoing rumors that Drake is into much younger women. However, the title is even more deeper than that. I'm talking about the studied phenomenon where people experience a state of euphoria before they die. This is by far the most strategic use of the title, as this is exactly what happened to Drake. Euphoria is in every sense of the word a bait track. Look at how confident Drake was. Like, Kendrick fucking knew. He had all those records recorded. Done, ready, waiting. Kendrick knew that Drake felt he had a slam dunk in his beef. He knew that when Drake dropped the Family Matters track, that Drake would have been living on a high, feeling like he won.
do you remember in the call when I told you it's easy to predict Drake? Remember I said it to you? Like, he's predictable. Like, he knows what he's gonna do. Like, same thing he did to Meek Mill. He gonna try to drop 2 songs. He gonna try to dust you.
Nah, I ain't gonna
try to slam dunk you.
What he was doing was Meek. He probably like, I'm I'ma kill this nigga. Like,
But he tried to do the same thing with Kendrick.
nah, he can't do that with Kendrick.
Word.
Leaving Drake in a state of euphoria. However, just like when people experience euphoria moments before they die, this is exactly what Kendrick did to Drake, strategically releasing a showstopper record just moments after Drake dropped. And look, you don't have to believe me, but I had this as a prediction in this script before any of those records even came out. I truly made the connection that Drake would experience.
My nigga, soon as that shit started though, that whole beef with Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, this nigga Kendrick probably went straight in the lab and started working. Like, oh, these niggas think they better than me. I'm not the best. That nigga went right to work, bro.
Probably been had some of them shits in the cut.
He went right to work.
Experience a great deal of euphoria from that release, only to have it taken away by Kendrick. And it sucks that I couldn't get the video out in time, but seeing it all come true really just lets me know that all the time and effort that I put into this shit really does hold some weight. So this was literally all part of his plan. The long wait, the being quiet, like making Drake believe that he had the upper hand. Strategy, chess, fucking phenomenal. With the title out of the way, I've seen some theories bouncing around that are trying to support the claims of Drake being involved with younger women through the use of the date that the record dropped, April 30th, also known as National Children's Day. It's a holiday in Mexico, it's not an American holiday. I don't see the significance. Then we got the theory of Kendrick holding back the record to drop it on the date that the funny mustache man was killed, and given the fact that Drake is of that faith, people seem to think that something is also here. It doesn't make any sense. Like the funny mustache man, when he died, that was like one of the best things to ever happen for that religion. Quite literally the ending of suffering. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Outside of the date, the time that the record dropped was 8:24 p.m., which is an ode to Kobe Bryant, who wore the numbers 8 and 24.
Euphoria is glorified and made his.
That one does make sense. So we looked at the title, we looked at the date, the time, now let's look at the beat selection. Structurally, the track is broken up into 3 parts with 3 different beats, which is deliberate and very clever, as Kendrick plays off one of his hardest lines from Like That.
First person shooter, I hope they came with 3 switches. I crash out.
I hope they come with 3 switches, and then he comes with 3 switches. Like, that's tough. The first beat is important for me to mention, as
They come with 3 switches, he switched the beat 3 times. He might be reaching.
Yo, nah,
That might be Chris Paul.
Theory on something, bro.
That might be Patrick Beverly.
Kendrick samples a track from Teddy Pendergrass called You're My Latest, My Greatest Inspiration.
More beautiful than the Mona Lisa.
Now, I've seen some outrageous rumors being spread that Teddy Pendergrass had previous allegations of messing with kids that are not only completely unsubstantiated, but documented absolutely nowhere. While my primary focus is breaking down this record, in doing this, I feel obligated to point out things that are just blatantly untrue. And look, I know Teddy had his fair share of scandals, but to just be pulling this information out of your ass and throwing it up online, especially when it comes to claims like this, like, you should probably stop doing that. However, interestingly enough, Teddy covered a song by Drake's uncle Larry Graham, who is a Hall of Fame inducted musician. Now, you can best believe that this is not a coincidence and there's a deeper meaning behind the use of this sample. I'm just unclear of what that could be. Outside of that, Teddy Pendergrass did get in a car accident which left him paralyzed in a wheelchair, just like the character that Drake played on Degrassi. And Drake's uncle has an accolade that is better than any award or plaque, any of that shit. Like, he's known for inventing the slap technique of the bass.
The funny shit is because niggas are still commenting on the
Kendrick need an interview, man.
niggas are still commenting on the Kendrick Lamar disses I did.
Yeah.
Bro, niggas done watch this shit, coming over there and commenting the bars and what it mean. Bro, shut the fuck up in the comments, man. Dead ass, man. Y'all niggas be getting me tight. Niggas done watch that shit 1,000 times, 100 niggas react to it. Our reactions is the first time we ever hear it and we post it. We ain't sit here going through niggas doing research. This nigga did research to react to this shit. This nigga did weeks of research.
Bass. Like, that is crazy, bro. Kendrick starts out the track.
Shout out to him because he put niggas on. He
back with a small intro that has an excerpt played in reverse from the 1978 film The Wiz.
Whoosh!
Euphoria.
The film reimagines the 1900 novel and 1939 film The Wizard of Oz in the perspective of African Americans. Kendrick uses this to symbolize that what he's about to craft is for the culture, something he believes Drake simply isn't a part of. He really drives this home as in the context of this movie, Kendrick is comparing Drake to the Wizard, who is played by Richard Pryor. Pryor's Wizard is initially looked at as someone who is feared and respected. He uses technology and trickery to maintain his illusion of power, but is soon discovered to be a fraud. This goes back to Kendrick and removing the costume from Drake's character. The Wizard is exposed when the blanket is pulled back, revealing that he's not powerful at all, and manipulated people into believing that he was.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Everything they say about me is true. I'm a phony. I got no powers. I got no right to be pretending to be the Wiz.
Much like the Wizard, Kendrick looks at Drake as someone who uses industry connections, fame, collaborations, fashion, hairstyle, and even technology like social media to fool people into believing that he is a person of the culture.
Everything they say about me is true.
When brought back to its original form, the line is extremely important to the overall theme of this record. Everything they say about me is true, the key word being they. As you'll see later in this record, Kendrick does not present much new information with respect to Drake, mostly reciting pre-existing things that people have already said within the culture, aka things that they said. By not exposing anything new, many people took this as a weakness, but this is quite literally Kendrick's entire strategy with this record. Basically, Kendrick...
I think you said that too. What? I think you was like, he's saying old shit.
Yeah.
He's saying shit that happened already. I think you said that.
I definitely said that.
Quite literally Kendrick's entire strategy with this record. Basically, Kendrick is demonstrating that Drake has been exposed so many times that he doesn't even need to reveal anything new, as he packages all the already existing info and presents it as being more than enough to remove Drake's costume. So it's critical to point out that in the phrase, everything they say about me is true, the term they is representing the culture that is hip-hop. So all that right there is the framework and entire setup of the theme of this record. Literally. Another obvious meaning behind Kendrick's choice of quoting The Wiz is the fact that it is an African-American cult classic, which is likely what Kendrick watched as a child. Whereas someone like Drake, growing up with a white mother, probably only watched the original Wizard of Oz, which had no black actors whatsoever.
Them superpowers get neutralized, I can only watch in silence.
Kendrick starts out the diss claiming that Drake's superpowers have been neutralized while he watches in silence. Circling back to the Kill Bill reference, as I've stated already, superpowers being neutralized alludes to Drake's costume being removed, exposing the fraud beneath it. The line about watching in silence perfectly ties into the quote from The Wiz, where Kendrick is essentially saying that he doesn't even need to speak, all he needs to do is sit back in silence, as Drake's alter ego unravels by itself through everything that they, the culture, says about him. DMX pointed out years ago that Drake was a fraud. Meek Mill exposed Drake for ghostwriters. Pusha T exposed Drake for being in blackface and hiding a child. Joe Budden alluded to underage women claims. Rick Ross painted Drake as a cultural outsider that had plastic surgery.
RPX.
Tupac's estate disapproved of Drake's use of an AI Tupac, and over the years, the culture in itself has added even more into the mix. When it comes to Drake and the culture that is hip-hop, the people within it have already neutralized Drake's superpowers on their own. You'll also notice that everything I just mentioned are all things that Kendrick makes reference to on this track.
The famous actor we once knew is looking paranoid and now spiraling.
So right off rip, in the second line, Kendrick begins to chip away at Drake's hip-hop persona. This line is not just directed at Drake for being an actor on Degrassi, but as an actor within the culture that is hip-hop.
You're moving just like a degenerate, every antic is feeling distasteful.
This line acts as a double entendre where one, Kendrick refers to Drake as a degenerate, likely due to his internet antics and the way that he moves in general. He seemingly supports this further by labeling Drake's AI diss as a distasteful cheap gimmick, And secondly, he is watching Drake's career degenerate, meaning to downgrade in terms of quality and how it's being perceived.
Why calculate? You're not as calculated. I can even predict your angles.
So first and foremost, Kendrick uses a play on words in a mathematics setting, referencing calculations and angles. Furthermore, he paints Drake as someone who is not as calculated as he might believe, claiming that he can predict his every move, which is exactly what he did. He predicted what Drake was going to do on the Family Matters record.
Fabricating stories on the family front, cause you heard Mr. Morale.
In the first line, Kendrick alludes to Drake seemingly suggesting on push-ups that Kendrick's wife might have been unfaithful. Kendrick addressed his infidelity on his previous project, and he is insinuating that Drake is pulling these claims out of his ass based on that info.
A pathetic master manipulator, I can smell the tails on you now.
Kendrick is basically claiming that Drake is twisting the truth to fit a narrative that the masses will likely run with, and that he can already smell the bullshit coming.
You're not a rap artist, you're a scam artist with the hopes of being accepted.
Following the theme of the record, Kendrick continues to drive home that Drake is simply not the person who he appears to be, by claiming that Drake is desperate to be accepted and that he fabricated a persona to make that happen. Drake is drive home that Drake is simply not the person who he appears to be, by claiming that Drake is desperate to be accepted and that he fabricated a persona to make that happen.
Drake claims he wasn't cool in high school.
You know, it was, I just always felt like an outsider. I went...
Tommy Hilfiger stood out, but FUBU never had been your collection.
Kendrick claims that Drake is far more Tommy Hilfiger, a brand that is far more common in a white man's wardrobe. Furthermore, allegations were made years ago that Tommy Hilfiger was racist, not approving of different ethnicities wearing his brand. For the record, this has been proven not to be true, but it was a narrative back in the day. Kendrick claims that Drake never had any FUBU in his collection, which is a masterful line in itself, truly helping to drive home the approach with this record. FUBU is a black-owned company with the slogan, "For us, by us," but more importantly, FUBU is very much a hip-hop company.
FUBU, the clothes got mass appeal. They the best that ever did it, I'm just keeping it real.
What Kendrick is really trying to drive home here is that just like FUBU, hip-hop is a...
What year was that when LL did that?
From the 90s.
It had to be...
Nah, hell no, that was the 90s.
I'm about to say, is that where Nas got his label name from?
What?
Mass Appeal. Was he such a fan? And
probably because they both from Queens.
The clothes got mass appeal. They the best that ever did it, I'm just keeping it real.
What Kendrick is really trying to drive home here is that just like FUBU, hip-hop is a culture that is for the people, by the people, and that is something that Drake has no ties to, as he is an outsider. Kendrick could also be referring to a fairly recent picture of Drake wearing FUBU, and I couldn't find any other pictures in existence where he's doing that. Now again, to be fair, which I am, Drake posted a drawing that he did from when he was a kid. It was like a cat or something, and it was wearing a FUBU hat. So he obviously knew about the brand from a young age.
I make music that electrify 'em. You make music that pacify 'em.
Kendrick points out that his music electrifies people. What he means by this is his music requires people to think, as the brain generates electrical activity when it processes thoughts. This diss record in itself is proof of just how layered his music can get. Kendrick creates music about real-world issues in a very poetic way that involves a great deal of comprehension. In the case of Drake, he claims that he makes music that pacifies them. Now, when we look at the definition of pacify, it is to cause someone who is angry or upset to be calm and satisfied. This is very important because Kendrick makes music to unite and empower his people. As we've seen in the past, protesters literally use his lyrics to make a statement. When we look at the subject matter in a lot of Drake's music, he is making the people do the opposite, calming them down by not evoking much thought at all, making them happy and pacifying them. And this line again went over heads, like people were thinking that he was calling Drake's music sleepy. Like that's not what that means. It's way deeper than that. However, the line also offers up another meaning, feeding into the claims of Drake being involved with younger women, as pacify could be in reference to a pacifier. This is further supported by Kendrick claiming that he could double down on the line but in this case, he spared him.
I know you're a master manipulator and habitual liar too.
Kendrick then, for the second time, calls Drake a master manipulator, and just like in the Kill Bill reference from earlier, he claims that Drake is a habitual liar.
You are truly and utterly incapable of telling the truth, especially to me.
It's a genius chess move because he gave himself a bit of a safety net, and now we've been hearing the people talk like, oh, Drake's a liar. Kendrick said he was going to lie. That's what he's doing. He then makes reference to his own lyrics from The Heart Part 4.
But don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you. Don't tell a lie on me. I won't tell a truth about you.
This is another really clever reference, as many believe that it was on that track where Kendrick took aim at both Big Sean and Drake. The key word being truths, plural. Like, I have more than one thing on you. Kendrick then hits Drake with a nasty beat switch. When I'm driving in the car and like this beat drops, my foot just gets real heavy on the gas. Like I start speeding.
Yeah, I'm out the way, I'm low, okay. Yeah, the island right here is remote, okay.
Kendrick plays into the narrative that Cole and Drake cultivated on their disses, that Kendrick is laying low and not selling as well as he used to. The line is also a reference to Kendrick being low in terms of his height, which is something that Drake continues to play on.
I ain't thinking about no reaper, nigga, I'm reaping what I sow, okay.
So, as I said before, there was no way that J. Cole was coming out of this thing unscathed, and Kendrick proves this to be correct, as he has some more bars for Cole here. I don't think any of us could forget J. Cole's verse on Johnny P's Caddy.
Nigga want me on the song, he gon' see the wrath of the reaper.
It was in this verse where J. Cole really started to reshape the narrative of who was the best, and Kendrick takes the chance to flip one of Cole's hardest lines to make it clear that J. Cole is not the Reaper, and unlike Cole, who apologized, Kendrick was going to follow through in his beef, reaping what he sowed. I said this 2 months ago. I thought that J. Cole was taking shots at Kendrick on Johnny P's Caddy. I do think he is talking to someone, and that someone, I feel like, is Kendrick Lamar. And Kendrick thought the same thing. I mean, there's a reason why he's referencing that record in particular.
You got a Benjamin and a Jackson all in my house like I'm Joe, okay.
So Kendrick really starts to put his pen on display. He makes reference to Benjamins and Jacksons, alluding to how he has plenty of money. This is likely a rebuttal to Drake's claims on push-ups regarding Kendrick's contract splits. However, the line is also in reference to Joe Jackson, who is Michael Jackson's father, and it's interesting to note that Michael Jackson also had a pet rat named Ben. Michael Jackson was weird from the jump. In this beef, the Michael Jackson and Prince thing just gets flipped and rebutted over and over again, and in this case, he's either calling Drake a rat, or someone in his team a rat, or both.
Hellcat, met his homeboys in them types LA solo, okay.
There are multiple layers to this line alone. Kendrick brings up the Hellcat, which is a sports car trim for Dodge, but also by definition, a Hellcat is a spiteful, violent woman. Kendrick cleverly plays with the word hell, making it seem that Drake and his associates all sold their soul while simultaneously calling Drake a bitch. But in the next line, there's even more layers.
Everybody wanna be demon till they get chipped by your throwaway.
Kendrick continues the clever wordplay with his usage of the word demon, as the demon is a trim level above the Hellcat for Dodge cars. The use of the word chipped refers to the demon being chipped out so that it has specific programming tailored to its performance. Kendrick also uses the word demon as a play on Future's middle name, Demon, and references one of Future's tracks, Throwaway.
Gone for the nigga, get it over with. Gone for the nigga, get it over with.
Go and pet that puppy, get it over with. I always change the lyrics and sing that song to my dog. And being chipped by a throwaway is also a reference to being taken out by a gun, as when you commit a crime with a pistol, you throw away the piece to eliminate any evidence. Furthermore, being chipped by a throwaway is also in reference to Kendrick's track Like That, which is what sparked this entire thing. And what's even more nuts is that the Like That track was Future's record, the guy that he already referenced within the line. Kendrick is essentially saying that the verse that shook the world was a throwaway verse, it was effortless, and it was nothing for him to do. However, while on the topic of Future and throwaways, a throwaway is also a woman that you just hit and toss to the side. And as we all know, Future accused Drake of pillow talking, so it's very possible
scored that 7?
Huh?
He scored that
He's
7?
1 point away and had 8 minutes left. I just gotta check it. I said I'm not gonna check it till I get hit. But I put 2 bets in. I don't know what the score. They up by 20.
That the woman that Drake trusted to share secrets with was one of Future's throwaways, so therefore, he got chipped by a throwaway. But the line is even crazier than that. I need you guys to remember Drake's recent track with J. Cole called Evil Ways, as it was on that track where Cole had subliminals for Kendrick.
I stay out of beef, see niggas DNA get rearranged.
And to make this even more obvious, it's on that exact same track where J. Cole claims that he is going through his demon phase.
Young Angel going through his demon phase.
So when Kendrick says everybody want to be a demon until they get chipped by a throwaway, that's a bullet for both Drake and J. Cole. In the case of Drake, he ended off his push-ups track by claiming not to wake the demon up.
This ain't even everything I know, don't wake the demon up.
In the case of J. Cole,
1 point away, cuz.
How much time?
There's no more time left.
Game out?
The game is over.
The game is over.
No, it's not.
Cuz I'm looking at it right now. It's over.
Oh, it's 11 seconds left.
Good, bro.
They about 20.
I knew it. I knew it. When he hit, I knew it.
Dickhead.
The 1 point in me, that's crazy.
Nigga, cause he probably been sitting down for mad long.
What I missed? This nigga, oh yeah, he under.
You wanna do like half and half? Like half an hour, half an hour?
Yeah, we done here. We done here, y'all. Part 2, 100 likes. In fact, 200 likes. This Kendrick, we need 200 likes. I'll take 150 for part 2.
200.
150. 200.